pushing something to the client. Like I have a new stock right now, or new news or something. You get that event and then you can present that data. So right now it is in a few web browser versions, but if you want to use it, there are a couple of libraries like the WebSocket.js or Socket.io, and basically they build it on top of everything that's available out there. They have no pride. They use Flash, they use Comment or similar things, but it's basically just about again, being pragmatic. I want to deliver this experience to the end user. What do I have to do? Well, I can use WebSockets and browsers that do support it, but I can have fallbacks for every other web browser. Geolocation is basically, the stalker feature. And naturally, talking about the integrity and all that, is that in the web browser, if you ask the user for where they are, the web browser is going to ask you, like, is it okay? Do you want to share this with this website? And if you go to Google Maps, you might have noticed there's a small dot at the top. You have the navigation panning and zooming, etc. But you also have a dot, and if you click that dot, it's going to center the map to where you are at the moment. And naturally, you can utilize the Google Maps API to just find directions that are like, okay, I am here right now, I want to get here, how the hell do I do it? And the code is really simple to work with geolocation. You have a geolocation object, and that object has a few methods. And the most important one is get current position. And when you call get current position, you get a dialog, the user says yes, most of the time. And then you get the latitude and longitude. Then you can map it out or whatever you want to do to work with it. There's also another method called watch position. And watch position does it all the time. So if you're going to kill someone's cell phone battery, go ahead and use it. It's very appreciated. And drag and drop. Oh, sorry. I'll get back to that actually. I think I have to slice another one. It's probably better to skip over drag and drop anyway. You'll see why later. See if I have that. So, and also with offline web applications, the idea with offline web applications is basically just to make sure that you can keep on working. Like in web browsers, you have the file menu and you can choose to work offline, but that kind of takes a step from the user. The user has to explicitly say that, okay, I'm going to go offline now. If you're on a train or on the way into a tunnel, if you're not fast enough, it's not going to work. So the basic idea here is that the user shouldn't have to think about it. You as a developer set things up. If they lose the connection, it's up to you to make sure they have the same experience or a similar experience. So we had a few ways to try and detect that. So we have online and offline events, just different code branching depending on web browser. And honestly, I have to say that these events work best in Internet Explorer, which is always a surprise, right? Makes you happy and kind of teary-eyed. And the idea here is, of course, that if you use Wi-Fi and you turn off Wi-Fi, this event gets triggered sometimes in most web browsers, not all the time. If you have an Ethernet cable and you pull it out, same thing. On the other hand, in all web browsers, if you actually use work offline in the file menu, it works in all of them. But that's kind of what we want to get away from. And it's getting more stable, but it's kind of hard to detect as well, because if you have Wi-Fi, you can lose your connection to your router, and that's fine. Then you know that, then you're offline. Well, what happens if you have a connection to the router, but not from the router to the internet? So it's kind of hard to know where do you draw the line, what is online and what is offline. As a user, you know that this shit doesn't work. That's offline for me, but how do you distinguish that? You can also, which is never a recommended approach, you can just keep on polling the server, or actually not the server, the client, and you can just check if you are online. You have an online property, so you can check every second, like, am I online, am I online, am I online? Which is kind of annoying and kind of not that good for performance. So the idea with HTML5 is basically that you have an HTML5 page, and then we have a manifest attribute. And the manifest attribute just points to an app cache file. And the idea with the app cache file is that within that file, you list all the files that you want to be available if you lose the connection. And the way it looks, first you have a directive just saying that, okay, this is a manifest file. Then you have 3 different directives. You have cache, fallback, and network. And under cache, you list all the files that are supposed to be available if you lose the connection. You know, no matter what happens, if you lose the connection, these files are already downloaded. So if you go to a website that has an app cache file listing these files, as soon as you go to that page the first time, it asks you, is it okay to source things offline on your client? Yes, and then source all those files. The fallback directive is that the first file name you see there, online.css, is the one that's going to be used if you're online. If you lose your connection, it defaults to the other file automatically. You don't have to have a JavaScript event or something like that. It just works. Magic. Computers. And the third one with network is basically just specifying if the user tries to access any of these paths, you have to be online. You notify the user that, I'm sorry, this just doesn't work. You have to be online to get the exact data. And talking about Canvas before, we had a complete different beast called WebGL, which is basically doing things with Canvas but in a 3-dimensional context.